Hello everyone and welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. Today we're taking a look at the Rebellion Rising Precon. Now this deck kind of suffers from what most Precons suffer from, the lack of card advantage and ramp. They kind of just throw some cheap cards in there that will work in the deck, but honestly half the time in a Precon, once you run out of the cards in your hand, you're kind of done playing the game. So we fix that and we're going to add some ramp and then we're going to add some cool cards that should have been in the deck to begin with. Now there is two different commanders you can choose, but this deck is definitely built for neyali Sun's Vanguard. Now, I do love the design of the Phoenix, but that guy deserves its own deck tech. So we're going to run neyali for now. You'll get some card advantage in the command zone, and you will also make those tokens massive. So without further ado, let's get into these upgrades. Professional Facebreaker. This girl's amazing. Not only is she ramp, but she is also card advantage and fits perfectly with the theme of creating tokens. Rumor Gatherer. Again, this is another one with like no ceiling. It will only draw you one card, but the scry is limitless. So enjoy, throwing everything that's useless on the top of your library to the bottom. She's really useful. Skull Clamp. I'm amazed they did not include this deck. This is a staple in every token deck, no matter what. Halo Fountain. Again, this one's really good. You can create tokens with this, you can draw cards with this, and you can even win the game with this. Bonnie Brack's Zoologist. This one's awesome because it can technically draw you 4 cards. If you have a way to create a token on each of your opponent's turns, enjoy drawing, an insane amount of cards. Welcoming Vampire. Basically, whenever you create a token, you're going to draw a card because all of these tokens are going to be kind of low to the ground, you know what I mean? Alright, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's create a lot of tokens. We have Krinko 10 Street Kingpin. Attack with this guy, he's going to get massive and he's just going to create more and more goblins. Krinko Mob Boss. Again, just keep tapping this guy and you're just going to create a ton of goblins out of nowhere. Notably, it doesn't have to be a goblin-centric deck to include these guys in a token deck because left alone, they will create their own board state. Shared Animosity. What I like about this card is it doesn't care about one creature type. It just cares that if you attack with a lot of creature types, those creatures are going to get +1 for however many those creature types are. Because we're going to be creating goblins, we're going to be creating angels, so it's really important that the card's not that specific. It's perfect in the deck. Luminarch Ascension. It's not hard to meet the requirements of this card so you can start creating those angels, and 2 mana for a 4/4 is insane, especially when your commander's going to give it double strike, so these bad boys are going to be hitting for 8. Speaking of hitting for 8, we have God Eternal Oketra. Every time we cast a creature spell, we're going to create a 4/4 zombie, which is going to be really good. Additionally, this girl is hard to get rid of because she just comes back. Lastly, we have Scent of Dragons. Create a lot of 1/1s and then out of nowhere destroy all of those 1/1s for a bunch of 4/4 dragons, and you could probably end the game with that, honestly. Alright guys, let's cover the simple ramp we have. We have Wayfarer's Bauble. It feels like you're ramping in green, so that's really good. Prosperous Partnership. Go ahead and tap down those tokens to create treasure tokens. Pretty useful. Lastly, we have Ashnod's Altar. Again, this is a include in every token deck, and I don't know why they're missing these staples. That's going to do it for all the upgrades. Let's get into what we cut. And hey, stay till the end of the video because I'm going to go through some upgrades that aren't exactly budget but can really buff the deck up. Loyal Apprentice. This just creates a 1/1 Thopter every turn. There's no ceiling, there's no up from this. That's just what it is. Gold Knight Commander. In a situation where this is good, you're creating a ton of tokens every turn. So why don't you just do that and win that way? That's why I cut this guy. Anthem effects, they're alright, but honestly, I'd rather be creating more tokens or drawing cards. Siege Gang Commander. Now this guy's really good if you draw your other goblin cards, but if you don't, he creates 3 goblins, does his damage, and then he's kind of useless on the board. Collective Effort. There's just way better removal spells in the deck. Hoarding Outburst. Again, I cut the one-offs because you don't really need it in Commander. In Commander, you want consistent value throughout. You don't want a card that says, hey, go ahead and get 3 goblins, and then that's all you've done. Midnight Hunting, same reason. Battle Screech, again, same reason. And then Heroic Reinforcement, same reason. You'd rather a permanent card that sticks on the battlefield that creates tokens than just, like I said, one-offs. Soul Guide Lantern. Now this one's alright because it can exile everyone's graveyard, and if your play group is trying to do that, just add a Scarab Swarm instead. Maul of Skyclave. They put weird equipment in this deck. I mean, there's literally equipment in the game that creates tokens, and instead they put this in there, so I'm really confused by that. Kimba's Banner. While buffing one creature up a lot is kind of cool, it's really not what we're trying to do in this deck, right? We're trying to create a lot of little tokens and win that way. We're not trying to buff one creature up and just destroy them. Cut a deal. We're not trying to let our opponents draw cards, and there's a lot of useful white card draw now. We don't need to include bad cards like this to get our card advantage. And lastly, cut a land, because I found that 37 is the perfect number. You end up with 3 lands in your starter most of the time, which is what you want. Alright guys, let's move on to the non-budget upgrades. These probably aren't going to surprise a lot of people, but we have Smothering Tithe. It's just really effective and should go in every white deck. Jessica's Will, again, really effective card draw, it gives you mana, and it could see play in every red deck. Cathar's Crusade, a staple in all token decks because this will make your tokens massive out of nowhere. Esper Sentinel, an amazing one-turn drop, and it'll draw you a lot of cards throughout the game. Anointed Procession, double up on all those tokens because, hey, that's what you're here for. Ancient Gold Dragon, this can create a lot of tokens out of nowhere, and it's honestly a really amazing card that I don't think sees enough play. Udvara Hellkite, imagine those 6/6 dragons hitting for 12. Holy, that's going to be a lot of damage. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope this helped you out, and let me know in the comments what you think about the budget upgrades. And I'll see you in the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps me out.